to Frequent Miler on the air. This is a test of trying to see if we can do a points and miles intervention with a guest. So you're our first.
Well, thanks. It's a great idea, and I think we're all reaching out with this extra time on our hands to find new creative expressions. So it's a great idea.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're glad you're excited about it. We're excited.
We are. So we're looking forward to diving into this with you. You had asked for a credit card intervention. You said, I think that you have too many cards. You're trying to figure out which ones to get rid of. Is that right?
Yes. I have, between my wife and I, we have 33.
Okay. Yep. And you need an intervention.
And they're all,
go ahead.
Without exception, they're all travel related.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of, when some good offer would come up, we'd sign up. And then we've never really dumped them, especially because I'm not quite sure, but you hear sometimes that it hurts your credit rating to close accounts. So I'm not quite sure how that all plays into it. But I certainly have, I don't know if you saw the list, I certainly have some redundancies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for setting that list, by the way. That's going to make it a lot easier.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So first, let's talk briefly about preserving your credit. So the main thing that could potentially hurt about canceling your cards is losing the available credit that the bank has extended to you, and that will hurt your utilization ratio, which could hurt your credit score. But there are ways of avoiding that. Like one way is just by downgrading to a no-fee card and just not worrying about that you have that card. Just put it in a drawer or something. Another way is some banks will let you move credit from one card to another before you cancel, and then that'll preserve your score. So
to be clear, canceling the cards isn't what affects your score. When you're canceling your own cards, that's not going to harm your score. What could harm it, like Greg said, is utilization percentage. So that's the percentage of your available credit that you're using. So if you've got, 2 credit cards, each has let's say a $10,000 limit. So you've got $20,000 worth of credit, and you've got a $10,000 balance on one of them. You got one of them maxed out. You're using half of your available credit, 50%, which is not very good. But then if you close one of those, you're using 100% of your available credit. So that would hurt your score even more. So what you want to avoid doing if you have balances reporting on any of your cards, then canceling them may impact your score. But hopefully if you're playing the travel card game, that's not the case for you. You probably aren't carrying balances. Then the next thing kind of becomes maximizing it via making sure that your cards are paid off before the statement's cut. But overall, what Greg is telling you is that closing cards isn't going to be very impactful to your score, and any impact would be, generally speaking, short term if you had a large balance on one of them at the moment that you canceled, perhaps. But like you said, you can also usually, with many banks anyway, move credit around. So if you're going to close a Chase card, for instance, you can reduce the credit limit on that card down to $500 and move that available credit usually to one of your other Chase cards. You'll have to do that over the phone with Chase, and of course, your mileage may vary to some extent, but generally speaking, the banks are pretty good about that. Many of them anyway.
Okay, that sounds doable.
Okay, and then the other thing to keep in mind is it might be difficult to get Chase or any other banks on the phone these days, but so we'll try to talk through which cards you could just go ahead and cancel online somehow, like through secure message or whatever, if we happen to know the answer to that.
All right, I'm going to interject here. Mm-hmm. Do you have a rubber ducky collection behind you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So they're all from different travels. So there's a number of ducks from a hotel called the Renaissance St. Pancras, which is in London, and they put a rubber ducky on the bathtub each day, and so I squirrel it away, and then a new one appears the next day.
All right.
Some are from Flying Lufthansa, and some are actually there's a Necker Island duck. There's
and here all this time I thought Greg was just a big Sesame Street fan. Robert,
yes.
You're the one.
I don't think there's a single Sesame Street duck. No.
Yes. Well, thank you for letting me ask. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, you bet.
No problem. So I agree that you need an intervention here. So, I looked over the list of your cards, and I didn't even do the math to add up all of the annual fees because it was just going to hurt my heart to do it. And I figured you probably already have, Jim. So have you added up these annual fees? Do you know how much you're paying altogether in annual fees right now?
Well, yeah, it's about 3,500. But as you know, there are some credits back on some of the cards
Of
that
course.
defray some of that cost, but it's way too much.
Right. I would tend to agree with that. I mean, granted, there are ways to get good value out of a lot of the cards that you have, but yeah, I mean, you'd have to be getting significantly outsized value. One thing that Greg often says is, to take any benefits of a card and look at it and say, would I pay for a subscription to that benefit? That's something he's put in posts often before. And so, if you ask yourself, would I pay $3,500 a year to subscribe to all of these benefits? I mean, I don't know what the answer is for you, but I'm going to bet that it's probably no. So you're right to definitely take a look at it and think you got to pare down a little bit. So,
Okay.
So I got a couple of questions for you. I don't know, and Greg can interrupt me.
Go for it, Nick.
So the first thing that pops into my mind when I look at your list is obviously you've got a lot of travel cards. You said you have something like 33 travel cards here. So how often do you travel every year? About how many nights per year do you travel for leisure, work, whatever it might be?
About 6 months.
About 6 months.
Oh,
okay. Wow.
That's a lot.
All right. So that makes a big difference. Okay. And so where do you normally stay? Do you have a preferred chain or preferred chains?
We, how obviously how it changes who's being generous.
Of course.
We used to be big Hyatt people. They made it tough.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's Marriott, Bonvoy treats us pretty well. And then Hilton, with one of the Hilton cards, you get, I think, diamond status with the breakfast benefit and so on. So those are the two we've been concentrating on. Bonvoy has a lot of locations. We spend a lot of time in Spain, and with their AC chain, there are a lot of those in Spain that we can use.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
when you said Hyatt makes it tough, what do you mean? Do you mean to get their top tier elite status, or is it something else about Hyatt?
Yeah. We were diamond for until they changed for 15 years or something, and we could qualify. I think at that time that you needed 25 stays.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, stays, not nights. And we would do things in the Chicago area, like we would do stays. We didn't really stay. We'd go find a cheap $79 rate in the Chicago suburbs, go collect our amenity, leave, and call them the next morning, and get the credit if we had, So for some of those nights, just because the benefits are so nice with Hyatt.
It sure is, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we, just so you know, we call that mattress running when you're checking in just for the points or elite benefits, or both.
We've done a few of those in our time.
Yeah. And then of course Hyatt changed to where now they only count nights and they require 60 nights to get their top tier. And so so that's what you meant by that.
Mattress running 60 nights is much more difficult than 25 stays.
Right. And with Marriott, so do I take it then that you're earning platinum or better status with Marriott?
No, I've got lifetime gold.
Okay.
There's a second word, gold premier, gold preferred, or something like that. So it helps me there if I stay at like a Renaissance where they have a lounge, because then it gives you the lounge access. But Hilton's really the one now that gives me the broadest benefit, and that's from being with the Hilton with their $450 card, the Fancy Honors Amex, and then they give you that status with that.
Right.
Okay. So I'm trying to see that Hilton card on your list. Is it on there?
Yep, it is. It's on there. It's highlighted that? Hilton Honors AX.
Okay. I thought the highlights meant you had canceled those. That's not what that means.
No, I don't. don't remember what the highlight means.
Okay. All right. They're, for everyone else who is watching or listening, that they're highlighted in red, so that's why I thought it was.
Oh,
I see.
okay.
I see. And you see, I looked at that and I thought that meant that those were things that you knew you wanted
No,
to keep, perhaps, but
Could
those
be.
are the four expensive ones.
the expensive ones.
They
Okay.
are, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. True. That makes sense. Okay. So now, to clarify on Marriott status, because I'm sure Greg and I both have the same thought. So Marriott Gold status in the past gave you lounge access and free breakfast, but nowadays it's Marriott Platinum status that you need in order to get free lounge access and breakfast. So if you have lifetime gold, then you would not typically get free breakfast or lounge access at Marriott's. Platinum requires 50 nights per year in the new program.
Right. Unless Jim had lifetime gold before the switchover,
that's true.
in which case he now has lifetime platinum.
Right.
So do you know, Jim, what you have?
No, I think the switchover got me to that lifetime gold. I don't think I had it previously.
Okay, then you shouldn't be getting lounge access unless the individual hotels are being very generous with your.
Well, maybe the rules
status.
have changed recently, but it was at one time that the Renaissance hotels within the chain did give you that benefit if you were gold.
Gold, yeah, that's true. In the old program, so before August of 2018,
18, I think.
Yeah, then yes, gold did get you lounge access not only at Renaissance but also at JW and a number of other the brands that would have had a lounge. But since August of 2018, it's required platinum status, which requires 50 nights a year. So you get 15 nights of credit for having one of the credit cards. If you happen to also have the business Bonvoy, one of the business Bonvoy cards, then you can actually now get 30 nights towards it, but you need 50 total nights per year. So you said you travel for about 6 months per year, so that's about 180 nights per year you spend in hotels, right?
But it's not strictly hotels, because we mix in some VRBOs or some Airbnbs.
Okay.
Like if we're doing a week stay, then sometimes depending where we're at, and some of that time is cruising as well.
Okay. So,
and have you ever taken, when cruising, have you ever taken advantage of the AMEX Platinum card, which you have, has a cruise benefit where they'll give you some special things on board?
Well, and that's what I had heard, and I got it, and I tried it, and I didn't get anything really. This, for instance, I just today canceled. We were supposed to go on a world cruise with Cunard in January, and I'm just feeling kind of, nervous about it. So I canceled that, and what I had was a $150 onboard credit from Amex, and that's on a 100-night cruise. So so I don't know.
So $1.50 a day.
Go very slowly on using that credit.
So there may be something I'm missing, but I called them directly and said, hey, it's supposed to be all these benefits if I use your card. And they said, well, you get a lot of points and so on. I said, well, everybody will give me a lot of points. That's not it. So I don't know. I know I have been on cruises where there were MX wine tastings and so on, and I just haven't been able to tap into that yet.
Okay. Just curious for when we get to that card, whether it's something you value or not. It sounds like probably not, since it's hasn't shown a lot of value to you yet. Should we tackle the list from the top?
Sure.
Unless you had another angle, Nick.
No. Those are a couple of things that I wanted to know to be able to think about. So I was just trying to do some thought process. But no, let's go to the top of the list.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, if you tackle Southwest.
Yeah, I think we should tag it. So you have a number of Southwest cards, not just the one on the top of the list, but you've got, at the top of the list, you have the Southwest Business card, then further down,
the Southwest
Rapid Rewards Performance Business, then the Rapid Rewards Personal card.
Yes, I have 3 and my wife has 1.
Okay.
We try and do that, dropping them so we can meet the 2-year rule to keep getting our companion pass.
Okay.
So I think at this point, I hold the companion pass. So I think it certainly makes sense to drop her 1 card, so she's down to 0, so we're back in business in 2 years from now.
So your current companion pass, when does that expire? This year or next year?
No, I've got another full year, and then it depends whatever they come up with all the adjustments they're making nowadays.
Right. So your current pass, does it expire December 31st of 2020 right now? Before, we obviously don't know. They're probably going to extend it, but does it expire December 31st of this year or December 31st of 2021?
2021.
Okay, 2021. All right.
Oh, okay. So you're good for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So all of those Southwest cards probably aren't going to do any good once you could wait till the next annual fee comes due and just drop them. I mean,
the only reason, well, Greg says that the performance business card, though, it depends on how often you fly Southwest. If you have the companion pass, I assume that you're probably flying Southwest relatively often domestically, a few times a year. About how many times per year do you normally fly Southwest?
Probably 10 round trips.
Yeah. So a decent number of times. So the performance business, let's see, has the 9,000 points per year on renewal, but then, oh no, you know what? I was confusing that with the priority that has a number of extra Southwest benefits. So no, I think probably all of those can go then, I would say, especially if you're successfully right now rotating the 2-player mode for Southwest, and you're not going to be over 524, then yeah, I would say get rid of all the Southwest cards. The only reason you might consider keeping one of the Southwest cards is if you intend to refer anybody, because the points from referrals from those cards do count towards the companion pass. So you could earn up to 50,000 points per year from referrals. But if you don't know very many people you're going to refer, then that isn't worthwhile necessarily. In my case, one thing I discovered last year was that referring people late in the year, the points actually posted the next calendar year. So they can definitely help you get towards the companion pass faster. But rather than even confusing you with that, I think likely based on what you're saying, I would get rid of all of those. If you're going to stay under 524, then I would definitely get rid of all the Southwest cards. The priority, if you had it, maybe, but it doesn't look like you have the priority. Oh no, you do. You do have the priority. That's the personal one you have.
What does the priority card give you? I can't remember.
Yeah, I always have to double check on the cards myself. So that's why I was trying to pull up. I pulled up the performance business by mistake. The priority gives you, what does it give you? The $40 credit a couple of times per year. I'm trying to check it out. Hang on, because I always have to check our best offers page. I don't have these the benefits memorized either. So the priority gives you 7,500 points each year, and then a $75 Southwest travel credit for a 1-day 15 boardings every year, and then 20% back in in-flight drinks and stuff. So
that's worthwhile.
I mean, it might be. If you're spending cash on any of your Southwest flights, now Greg can argue why I'm wrong, but if you're spending cash on any of your Southwest points or any of your Southwest flights, rather, you're getting $75 as an annual credit back. You're getting 7,500 points, which are by about $100 worth of airfare. And then if you use those A1 to 15 boardings at all, those are usually $40 a pop. So for $150, I don't know. I think that might be the one that I would keep. Greg, do you disagree?
It depends, Jim, how much you value those things. How much do you value getting extra Southwest points? It could be, for example, that since you're signing up for 2 cards every other year, that you have more than enough Southwest points anyway. And do you pay for those A1 boardings or not? And if you do, then it probably should be worth quite a bit to you.
Well, my question would be, does that $75 onboard credit work for cocktails?
Yeah, the $75 Southwest annual credit should work for onboard purchases or even just ticket purchases. So either way, so the $75 is just a Southwest credit that goes towards any spending with Southwest, to my knowledge anyway. And then the 7,500 points that you get at each anniversary obviously go to your points total. So like Greg said, I mean, if you're sitting on 2, 3, 4, 5, 600,000 Southwest points, then those 7,500 anniversary points don't mean anything to you. But if you use up all your Southwest points over the course of over the course of a year, or over the course of the 2 years that you have the companion pass, I guess, they might be worth something to you. So I don't know. I think the priority could be worth it. If you're flying Southwest 10 times per year, I don't know. I think that one's worth considering.
All right. We're taking way too long. It's going to take 100 years to get through all 30 something.
You're right.
So let's just say definitely cancel all of them except for the priority. And your homework is to look at those priority card benefits, decide if it's worth $149
there you go.
for the next annual fee update. But on the time after that, you might want to cancel it because you're presumably going to be signing up for 2 new cards. And anyway, so you'll have to just make that decision going forward. The next card you have, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say it should be much quicker to go through the hotel cards because I get those because they give me a free night.
Sure.
And so for $89.99 a card, I get a free night. So like with Hyatt, Bonvoy, IHG, and Hilton, I would be inclined to keep those just for the free night because I get much more expensive properties than what the fee is.
If that's the case for you, then then they're definitely worth keeping. That's
totally agree with that.
You just have to look at the price of the properties you're staying at. But yeah, I think that with all of the different, you've got how many different Bonvoy cards here? 1, 2, 3, at least 4. 5. Yeah. So you got 5 Bonvoy cards altogether, and 3 of those look like they're in your name at least anyway. 1, 2, 3, at least 3 in your name, right? So, I mean, between the 15 nights you get for the credit card and those 3, that puts you at 18 elite nights a year. So, I mean, you're actually almost, I'm not quite halfway to platinum status, but I would probably focus more on staying at Marriott's. But
he's got 30 if he has a business.
I don't see the business.
Bonvoy.
Do you have the business Bonvoy card?
Is the one? Well, okay. That's under
probably
my wife's name.
I've got a Bonvoy AMEX, and it says Lindblom's Lodgings. That's our Airbnb. So that might be
that probably is a business then. Okay. So so you've got 30 elite nights just from having the credit cards, and then you have however many where you have actual stays. So you might want to think about making sure you get the extra, I want to say about 16 nights each year beyond what you're getting from the credit card free nights, so that you'll have platinum status each year, and then you will get lounge access and or breakfast at most Marriott properties.
Right.
Okay, so just to review, each of the cards gives me credit 15 toward the total?
Well, so you get 15 from having a consumer Marriott card.
Okay.
Any number of consumer Marriott cards, you still only have 15 total.
15. Okay.
And then any number of business Marriott cards, you'll have another 15, but not more than 15. So you have 30 is the most you can get from credit cards.
Right. 15 from a personal and 15 from a business.
And I need 60 for
50.
You need 50 nights each year to get to platinum status.
But then each of those, so you have 3 of those Bonvoy cards in your name. So those each give you a free night certificate, and those free nights count towards status. So you get 15, 15 and 15. So you have 30 nights just from holding a business and a consumer version of the Bonvoy cards, and then you're getting, since you have 3 cards altogether, you're going to get another 3 nights when you use those free night certificates. So you're talking about 33 nights. You're 17 short of platinum status. Platinum status gives you 4 p.m. checkout, free breakfast or lounge access. So, I mean, I would definitely go for that. Now, you mentioned AC hotels in Spain, and AC hotels, I think anyway, I looked at our benefits for AC hotels. And AC hotels, it looks like if you have platinum status, then you're going to get a $10 food and beverage credit as a welcome amenity rather than getting breakfast every day. So AC hotels, if that's mainly where you're staying, I don't know whether platinum status will be as valuable to you or not, because you get $10 food and beverage credit per guest or 500 points per stay. So if you're specifically staying at AC hotels, the status may not be super valuable to you, but at other Marriott properties, it certainly would be. So I think probably you should pay a little bit more attention to Marriott's in general. That's where I would be. If you're going to mattress run a night in the Chicago suburbs, I'd be looking to do it every now and then at Marriott, since you're already like starting off at 33 nights towards status. I mean, you really don't need that many. So
that's great.
But before you do that, just do me a favor and log into your Marriott account and check what it says about your lifetime status, because just in case you got it wrong and you actually do have platinum, then you want to make sure you're not
right now wasting those mattress runs for no reason.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Good point. So I think the Bonvoy ones, when I looked at your list, I wasn't sure that I would say to keep them, but in your case now, I think I would, right, Greg?
Yeah, I think definitely. And you know what Jim said about, it sounds like all of his hotel cards are worthwhile. I mean, I think it's worth talking about. There's some where you don't get a free night. So Club Carlson, which is now Radisson Rewards, you get 40,000 points each year rather than a free night. But that's good enough for a free night at many properties. Actually good enough for a few free nights at some lesser properties. So do you make use of those points?
Club Carlson, there's one up in Radisson up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We stay on a regular basis.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Great.
They don't give it. What they give me is a chocolate bar.
You're not going to get much other than extra points from Radisson.
and
that's your lead stuff.
Upgraded room too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They're not known for generous elite benefits, other than you do get room upgrades now and then, so that could be great. So that one's a keeper. What about, so at the top of your list you also have the Inc. Business Preferred, which is a $95 card. Are you getting much value from that, or is that one that you just got for the sign-up bonus?
Yeah, I got all those Chase cards basically for sign-up bonuses. We use the business card gets us something. Is that gasoline or telephone breakage coverage, or there's some side?
Telephone. Yes, it gives you insurance on your cell phone if you pay your cell phone bill with the card. So, it does give you that.
The Business Preferred and Business Plus basically the same?
No, the Business Plus is the one that gives you 5x at office supply stores and for telephone and internet and TV services. So
that's
that
a better
one. Well, it doesn't cover cell phone damage though. So everybody has a decision to make with those of, do I earn 5 points per dollar by paying my bill with a Inc. Business Plus or Inc. Cash, or do I earn 3x for those purchases and have the coverage that Chase offers?
So I would keep one of those. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not sure. So here's the thing. You could downgrade either or both of those to a free Chase Inc. Cash card, which has the same 5x categories as the Business Plus. The difference is that it's capped at $25,000 in spend in the 5x categories versus the Plus, which is capped at $50,000. And so you would still, unless you're using up the 5x category, you could go to that no fee card and still get the 5x benefit.
And it was called what again? Downgrade to what?
An Inc. Cash.
Inc. Business Cash.
Inc. Business Cash. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and I looking at it, I don't know, but if you don't spend more than $25,000 per year at the office supply stores and on your cell phone bill and internet bill, cable TV bill, if you don't spend more than 25 grand a year right now, then I think it probably makes sense for you to downgrade to that card from at least from one of those two Inc. business cards. Now, if you don't necessarily value the cell phone protection more than the cost of the annual fee, you might consider downgrading both of those cards to a fee-free card, especially if you're going to keep the Sapphire Reserve, because you have the Sapphire Reserve, so you have the ability to transfer to partners. I don't really think that there's a need for you to have both Inc. business cards, really, unless you value cell phone insurance more than $95 a year.
No, I usually lose them before I break them.
Yeah. So in that case,
so here's my recommendation: downgrade one of them to the Inc. Business Cash, and downgrade the other one to the Inc. Business Unlimited. And what the Unlimited gives you is 1.5 points per dollar for all spend. So if you're gonna be buying something and you don't have a card that has better rewards than 1.5 ultimate rewards points per dollar, you could use that Ink Business Unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're both fee free. So
that sounds great.
Those are great placeholders. And if you ever wanted the Ink Business Preferred again, you could product change back to it. I don't think, though, the Ink Plus that they'll let you get that back, because that's a discontinued card.
Yeah, so the Ink Plus you probably wouldn't be able to get again. That's the one that has 5 exit office supply stores up to $50,000 in spend per year. But here's the thing. You could, in the future, downgrade another Ink Business Preferred to another Ink Cash card. So you could really, if you really wanted to spend $50,000 a year at office supply stores all of a sudden, then you could find a way to be able to earn 5x for it. So I think that downgrading that card makes more sense.
Right. And actually, I just noticed that the 4th item on your list is another ink, which it's unspecified which ink it is, but your list says it's a $95 card, which means it's either the old Ink Plus or a second Ink Business Preferred.
I think that was his Ink Plus, right? He has an Ink Business Preferred, and then that one's the
Ink Plus.
He
has an Ink Plus. Okay, I thought we were talking about his wife's Ink Plus before.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Anyway, whatever it is, downgrade that one too.
Yeah.
All right. Then so I can probably just get rid of hers.
Yeah, you can, although there's okay, yeah. So one reason to get rid of a card instead of downgrading to a no fee one, especially with Chase, is that might make it easier when applying for cards in the future, and in this case, business cards in the future, to get approved. Because one of the things they look at, they don't have a hard rule about it, but they will look at how much credit is already extended to you for your business cards, and they might say, well, that's too much, and not be willing to extend you more for a new card. So that could help. So I mean, that's up to you whether you want to cancel it or downgrade it.
Or downgrade it to another fee-free Ink Business Unlimited or Ink Cash. Those are your options there. So yeah, so I think you definitely could probably stand to alleviate several $100s in annual fees on those ink cards right now, unless you're heavily spending in one of those bonus categories. Then I would downgrade.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So go through all those and do that.
Keep the Freedom cards.
Yep. Yeah. There's no reason to get rid of those. No fee. The Mileage Plus card, the United Mileage Plus card, do you make use of it? Its most valuable benefit, I think, is the free check bag.
Right.
Do you make use of that?
No, we fly exclusively Southwest, unless we fly internationally. Internationally, we basically cruise to and from Europe each year, so we don't really do any long haul flights.
Okay. So I'd recommend calling and asking them to downgrade that to the no fee United card. So the no fee United card has the same feature as the Mileage Plus of giving you better access to saver level economy awards. So if you ever want to use your United miles or transfer Chase points to United to book a United flight, you'll have better access to those awards, those cheaper awards.
Okay.
And it's no fee. So that's a great card to just have forever.
Yep. Yeah, I have it actually. I have it right here. It just happened to be on my desk. The Mileage Plus card. So not the Mileage Plus Explorer, but just the Mileage Plus card. When you call and you tell them you want the no annual fee United card, they'll be able to help you with it. That one earns like 1 mile for every $2 spent or something. It's a bad card to use, but a good card to have for the expanded award availability. There's no sense in canceling rather than downgrading that, especially if you at some point in the future needed that benefit. It's great to have access to it without an annual fee. So you definitely want to do that and get rid of that annual fee also. So that's an easy move. And also, by the way, if you're not going to use that card and you need more limit on one of your other cards, then you could also, like we said earlier, ask the Chase agent if you can move some of your credit limit. Let's say you have a $10,000 credit limit on that card and you're not going to use the no annual fee one. See if you can move $9,500 worth of your available credit to one of your other Chase cards that you do use to book things. So you could do that if that helps you. It may or may not, depending on your situation.
Yeah. And then kind of, would you view Delta in a similar vein?
Probably. I don't see Delta on your. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Delta, I'm not sure there's any big advantage to
At
downgrading
all.
that one to the no fee card versus just getting rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no the no fee card doesn't carry any benefit that I can think of anyway.
Yeah, and
It's
it
worth
would just
having.
lock you out of being able to get a sign up bonus on that no fee card in case they ever offer a good sign up bonus on it. So I think that one, just cancel it.
Yep.
Amex will let you move credit around yourself. Like you can log into American Express and say you want to move credit from one card to another. I can't remember exactly the mechanics of it, but there's a way to do that online if you want to.
So what about my 4 expensive cards? AMEX Platinum, Honors, AMEX Sapphire Reserve, and then my wife has a Sapphire Reserve as well. I don't know if we both need to have one.
Yeah, you definitely do not need to both have them. That's an easy answer. Who tends to pay for dining and travel more often, you or your wife?
We're retired, so we're together like we are now, 24/7. So we usually use our Sapphire Reserve for travel type stuff or everyday stuff. Right now, groceries. Right now, it's the Freedom Card is the current cycle for extra points. Well, you see my list. What should I be using for everyday spend?
Well, the Freedom Card, I mean, is great when you're spending on something that's earning 5x that quarter. What I'm not seeing is a Freedom Unlimited card, which would give you 1.5 points per dollar. But actually, we told you about downgrading one of your inks to a Ink Business Unlimited, which will give you 1.5 everywhere. So as long as you're within the United States where there's no foreign transaction fee, I would use that for anywhere where you don't have a card like the Freedom that's earning 5x or the Ink Cash that's earning 5x, or do you know what I mean? And anywhere that you don't have a card that's offering a category bonus.
Yeah. So I would definitely downgrade one of your Sapphire Reserves. I don't think it matters really whose Sapphire Reserve you downgrade, but downgrade one of those Sapphire Reserves to probably a Freedom Unlimited or, like you said, the Ink Business Unlimited. Either one of those could be a very good everywhere else card. Now, so it sounded like you had another question. I got another point on the everywhere else thing, but go ahead. Did you have another question to add there, Jim?
No, I just going to say that, working with this stuff, for a lot of years, that those chase points are just golden, that like going to Hyatt on a 1-to-1 basis, is, so that's why we use chase for our everyday, accumulate as much as we can.
Sure. So then the Freedom Unlimited or the Ink Business Unlimited make sense for you because you'll earn 1.5 points per dollar on that everyday spend for anything that doesn't automatically trigger a category bonus. So you definitely want one of those. And if you have one Sapphire Reserve in your household, if we decide that a Sapphire Reserve makes sense for you, and if you have one of those in your household, you can pull all of the chase points that you guys earn into that one account. So your wife's chase points, you can share those with you and move them all over to your Sapphire Reserve, and then you can transfer them to Hyatt or whatever other partners you want. So you definitely don't both need to have one of those premium chase cards. So that'll save you right off the bat. And I see you have written down on your list that the annual fee on the Sapphire Reserve is $450, but of course it's going up to $550 now. That's going to save you substantially to axe one of those.
Does that one, the Chase Reserve, does that have the auto insurance coverage?
It does.
Yes.
Because we had used that. I think we used to use maybe the Ink Business or something, and use that, and they were excellent to deal with. So that was a great benefit. What about the travel stuff they say they help you with?
Well, the Sapphire Reserve is a great one to use for travel purchases in general because you're going to get the 3 points per dollar for travel, and it also has the best collection of travel protections, like not just car rental, but trip delay coverage, even emergency medical coverage, emergency evacuation insurance, things like that. So if you just routinely pay for travel with your Sapphire Reserve, you're going to have a lot of automatic protections. Now, as far as like travel benefits, though, it doesn't have a lot. I mean, it does have Priority Pass, which just depends on what airports you tend to go to as to whether that or not that's valuable. And it has some hotel collection benefits,
and it gives you National Executive Elite status, although you get that from your AMEX Platinum right now, but we're going to talk about the AMEX Platinum in a second. But I think for most people, Jim, I would question whether or not the Sapphire Reserve makes sense because of its high annual fee over the Sapphire Preferred. However, if you travel 6 months a year, it sounds like you're taking some cruises that are fairly pricey, I would imagine, when you add it all up over the course of the year. It sounds like you spend enough money on travel that probably 3x travel is worthwhile. You probably earn more points on whatever you're spending on travel than the difference in annual fee, essentially, between the Sapphire Reserve and the Sapphire.
That's exactly what I was going to say. As long as you always use it to pay for your travel and dining, you're gonna earn a lot of points, and those points will be worth more, as Nick said, than the difference in annual fee. So keeping one of those is great. Okay. Make sure if for some reason you decide to cancel instead of downgrading the other one, just make sure you move all the points to another card first.
Before if you downgrade it, the points are going to stay there. But if you cancel one, you definitely don't want to make that mistake. Now, I look at your list and I see the AMEX Platinum there, and it's the only membership rewards earning card that I see there. So why do you have an AMEX Platinum?
So the airports we use are basically O'Hare. Midway. And then Fort Lauderdale, and neither one of those have a lounge.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so when last time I was down in Fort Lauderdale, I thought, I'd like to be able to use the lounge here. And then they told me about the other benefits, the credit they give you for one thing, and I think there maybe be some Uber rides on that card as well. And so I was able to make it come out to $550. And so I said, I'll get that. So that's why it was just that simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cancel it.
Yeah, cancel it. Yeah. It's not a particularly rewarding card to spend on for the most part, especially if you're not paying for a lot of flights on it. And it sounds like you're not flying long haul very much. So there's really the credits on there. Yes, they can be useful, but it's hard work to make that more than the annual fee. And if you're not using any other membership rewards cards, I think that's just $550 back in your pocket.
That'll buy a lot of time at the bar at those two airports.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
You can think of it that way. You're $550 of bar credit.
That is a good way to look at it.
Real quick before we tackle the rest of the real expensive cards, you have a bunch of American Airlines cards. Mm-hmm. Sounds like those should just be axed.
I'm just when we do fly internationally, we fly on American usually. Once in a while we can't get a cruise back and have to fly back, and so I use that basically for those couple benefits in terms of your baggage and so on like that. So at most I would need one.
Okay.
But you could argue that I don't need any because we don't really fly anymore.
Right. So I agree with you. So either go to 0 or 1, but you definitely don't need more than one.
One at most. And depending on what kind of a fare you're flying on, it might already come with a checked bag when you're flying internationally. So, the benefits on those cards, I would say mostly the free checked bag benefit comes in handy, mostly within the United States. We do see more and more basic economy internationally. So there's a possibility that the free checked bag will come in handy for you. But generally speaking, I would say that, I would have gotten rid of all of those AA cards too. I agree.
So there we're not talking downgrading. We're talking just get rid of them.
Yeah. There's not a useful downgrade path for those to a no annual fee card.
I was just kind of stymied. I accumulated so many, I didn't know which one.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take back what I just said. You don't necessarily, there's not a downgrade for those, but what you might consider is, because some of those are city cards, and I see like the Platinum Select on there a couple of times, I think. And so if the non-business city ones, you may consider a product change. It depends on what other cards you have and what other cards you want. But for instance, the City Double Cash is fee-free, 2% back everywhere. Also not a bad everywhere else card to have in your wallet. And then if at some point you decide to pick up a good thank you point bonus, then you could transfer the rewards you're earning on the Double Cash to one of those thank you cards. So I might consider product changing one of those one of those Citibank American Airlines cards to a City Double Cash.
Good idea. I agree with that.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. I got City Double Cash. Come here.
Yep.
That is no annual fee. So
yeah, the City Double Cash has no annual fee. Yep.
All right.
So that's a no-brainer.
So if you decide at some point that instead of earning 1.5 ultimate rewards points everywhere, you'd rather just have 2% cash back, then you could switch over to the Double Cash.
Yep.
I do actually have access to some city points from my dad's account because I'm his power of attorney.
Oh,
okay. Well, so then, and if he's got a City Premier or something like that, then you could transfer the points from your Double Cash to his Premier, right, Greg?
Yeah, you could, and then
you'd want to redeem
can
them right
transfer those to an airline program in your dad's name, though.
Right, right,
Gotcha.
right. So a couple of hoops to jump through there, but I think it's worth changing one of those. All right, good. So then that brings us to the
Hilton
Aspire, right?
honors the Aspire. Yeah. Do you make good use of the the hotel credit, the $250 resort credit for that card?
No, because we don't really go to Hilton resorts when we go to Hilton hotels.
Okay. And what about the $250 in airline fee incidental credits? Have you used those at all?
Not totally.
Okay.
So I think what attracted me there was the idea that you became, I believe, Diamond, and therefore you were on the breakfast and upgrade track.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So here's the thing. Gold status with Hilton, you can get with a much, much cheaper card, and gold status guarantees free breakfast at Hilton's. It will get you upgrades, maybe not as good of upgrades. And it won't guarantee lounge access if there's a lounge, but often they'll give it to you anyway with gold status. So the question for you is...
Be careful with saying often. Sometimes you'll get upgraded to lounge. I don't think I ever got an upgrade to a lounge access at a place with a Hilton Gold. I know lots of gold members do, but I never have. In all of the times that I visited with gold status, I never got lounge access. So you might get lounge access as a gold member if you get upgraded to the executive level, but you'll get breakfast.
Yeah. So the question for you, I think, is how much, Nick? How much is is it $95 for the card that gives you gold status?
Yep,
so
that's the Surpass. Yeah. Well, I look at this and I say, okay, well, yeah, if you're not using the resort credit, first thought on that is that you want to go and take a look at the website that lists the Hilton resorts, because not all of the properties that will trigger the resort credit are what you would think of as resorts. Some of those are city hotels. Now, they're probably not going to be, if you're mostly staying at like Home2 Suites or some of the lower end Hilton brands, then probably those aren't going to trigger the resort credit. But it's worth going to the site. So if you look up the Hilton resorts for the Aspire card, if you go to our page, you Google frequent miler, Hilton Aspire complete guide, I think something like that, you'll get the link. I think it's hilton.com/resorts, if I remember correctly. But we have the link on the website. So you'll want to check out the list, because you can filter that by location and you can look at it via map. And again, there are some hotels in there that you wouldn't think of as resorts. And conversely, there are some places that have resort in the name that don't trigger the resort credit. So you want to check and see, because maybe one of those places is a place you'd consider staying at.
Okay.
But assuming that you're not using it right now, and assuming that you don't see that on the list, then yeah, between the fact that you're not using that, you're not using the entire airline credit, I would totally downgrade to the $95 Surpass.
So I'm actually thinking you should cancel it unless... Have you ever had the $95 Hilton card? Do you know?
I think they promoted me. I think they contacted me and said, hey, upgrade this to an Aspire.
Okay. All right. In that case, yeah, then I agree with Nick that just downgrade back to the 95. And you know what? If you ever want that diamond status again, you can upgrade again, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And so I just don't see you getting that $550 value out of this card.
No.
It doesn't sound like it.
Plus, it sounds to me like, from what you're telling me, I should be putting my efforts into Bonvoy for my, my status type stuff, my perks.
I mean, I would, because so you're at 30 nights because you have the business and you have it personally. You're at 30 nights towards elite credit, and then 3 of those free night certificates that are in your name puts you at 33. So you're 17 short of platinum. And when you hit 50 nights for platinum status, you get a choice benefit. So one of those benefits could be the 5 suite night award upgrades. Now, the suite upgrades with Marriott are different than the ones that you used to get with Hyatt back in the day. They're not necessarily quite as useful, but they at least give you, I think, a better shot at getting a suite than you necessarily would with Hilton. With Hilton, it's very much hit or miss as to whether or not the hotel has any interest in upgrading you, whereas at least with Marriott, you can request it in advance with one of those suite upgrade awards. So I would look to get 50 nights, and then depending on your patterns from there and how much you end up liking Marriott's, I mean 75 might not be out of question to get titanium status. I don't know, but yeah, I would probably generally be looking at focusing your efforts on Marriott hotels whenever they're price competitive with your other options. Anyway, I would be considering Marriott.
And it's nights, not stays.
Right.
Correct.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
So what's and then with Hilton, you know what? With Hilton, I think your diamond status that you have now is probably going to last
until 2022.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. The diamond status you have right now is going to last until February of 2022. So you really don't
even after you downgrade.
Even after you downgrade or cancel.
Okay.
Because they've extended everybody's status. So yeah, so you're good to go there. So let's see, that's a $450 card. So whether you downgrade or cancel, I'm just trying to do the math because I've been adding up how much we're trying to save you here in annual fees. So all right, keep going, Greg.
You've got me down to one of my 4 expensive cards.
that takes a big chunk out of it.
I mean, do we have anything left? So we already talked about Advantage. The choice privileges card doesn't cost you anything. So I would just keep that. We already talked about your Radisson Rewards card. Talked about your Southwest Inc., Bonvoy, IHG, Freedom, Hyatt. So you have 2 Hyatt. Your wife and you each have a Hyatt card at the old Hyatt card, $75 a year. It looks like, and you're still getting good value, right, from those free nights.
Yes.
So that's great. Keep those, and then another Citibank card.
There's some new Hyatt product, isn't there?
There is a new Hyatt card, but you can't have both.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would just sit on those. That has the lower annual fee. So if you're the reason to get the new one is because there's a way to earn elite status through spend, and also you could earn another free night with $15,000 spend a year. But it doesn't sound like that's something you're going for. So I think, be happy that you have the old cheaper card.
Well, I totally miss Hyatts, especially the Park Hyatts, and but I just don't see from what I've read and what I've heard that there's any real easy way to get to that status.
Right.
No, not apart from if you spend a lot of money on the Hyatt card, then you can get the new Hyatt card, gives you credit towards elite status. So depending on how much money you spend every year, if you were to concentrate a large quantity of spend on that card and stay at Hyatt's a fair amount, then perhaps you could do it. But it doesn't sound to me, especially with your other stays at VRBO or Airbnb or stuff like that, like that's necessarily in the cards for you. So I don't think that there's going to be a great shortcut to Hyatt status for you.
Okay.
The other question I had actually was the IHV Premier, Greg. You think the Premier is worth it? So do you get so you're paying $49 for one of your IHG cards, the old one that you can't get anymore. And I think that one's an unquestionably decent value because of the free night every year up to 40,000 points. The IHG Premier also gives you a free night up to 40,000 points. At $89, it's a little bit more expensive. Now, if you're still staying at a hotel that's significantly more than $89 a night, great. Keep it. Otherwise, though, that one might be one that you could think about getting rid of only because you have, already it looks like you're staying quite a lot of nights between all of these various Marriott cards. So whether or not you're still going to stay those nights at IHG properties, I don't know.
The IHG, are they the ones who stay 3, the 4th is free?
With that card, if you
yes.
book with points, that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
But book with points, not with free stays.
Right. With the IHG, yes, with IHG points. So if you have the IHG Premier, then when you use points, the 4th night is free when you're using points. If you're using the free night certificates from the credit cards, then those don't count exactly towards the 3 nights. So that's why I was a little, when I first looked at this, before I asked you how many nights per year you travel, I thought to myself, are you staying enough times each year, 4 nights at an IHG property, that makes it worth keeping that card? Now, if you are getting significantly more than $89 in value out of the free night certificate, hey, all the more power to you, keep it. But if you're questionable on that and you're not staying 4 nights every year, it might be worth getting rid of. I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
disagrees, but
No, I agree. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize, if you don't value the free night certificate more than the 89, but you do value that 4th night free points award, you could downgrade to the IHG Traveler card or sign up new for that and get a sign-up bonus. But either way, which has no annual fee, and that also offers that 4th night free benefit.
Right.
It just doesn't offer a free night each year.
Great point.
Okay.
Great point. So that one might be one that you could consider downgrading if you're not getting significantly more than $89 in value each year out of your free night certificate. That's one you could consider downgrading.
Right, and that's a great one too. Like, if you're not sure whether you'll ever, even if you're not sure whether you'll ever use that 4th night free, since it has no annual fee, there's not a lot of downside to just keeping it around.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, have you been, Nick, you've been keeping running count on,
I think, it's possible I missed one along the way, but I think I added up $2,709 in annual fees that we've chopped out. So,
whoa.
I think that we're like 2/3 of the way down towards zero. And that makes it sound like you're paying about $1,100 maybe in annual fees altogether. Then, if I remember correctly, you said about $3,800, I think, to be on 35. I think you said. So you're at $800 or so in annual fees. And I think that's much more reasonable for somebody who travels 6 months a year. If you didn't travel as much as you do, then I still think maybe we'd talk about paring that down a little bit more. But I think if you travel often and you're flying Southwest and you're going to use these free night certificates, I think that's a pretty decent amount of value. Do you agree, Greg?
Definitely. Yeah, no, I feel really good about what we've recommended here. So I think you've got a lot of homework ahead of you, though,
I've taken a lot of notes.
Good.
Let me, before I let you go, is there any card that's useful if you we are on like 5 cruises a year? I don't know of anybody that has a special program.
There's some very complicated things you could do with status matching to get status that helps you on cruises, but that's kind of beyond the scope of where we could go right now, or that I'm even conversing in.
Yeah, in terms of a credit card for cruises, I think the best suggestion that I would have is the Sapphire Reserve, so you're getting 3 points per dollar when you're paying for the cruise. Otherwise,
and you're getting various travel protections,
right? And the
at
various
the same
travel
time.
protections, exactly. Yeah. So that's the card I'd be using to pay for your cruises. But beyond that, no, I'm not aware of any magical card that offers huge benefits on cruises.
Well, I'll keep my eyes open for status match stuff. I know once in a while Hyatt runs status match where I don't know if it's a match, but where they reduce the number of nights you need and things like that. And I know one of the best times for me was in terms of travel was after 9/11, because the companies really were hustling. And I have a hunch when this all clears, they're going to have to do some hustling again.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. And at that point, it might be worth considering getting that newer Hyatt card if that helps you along with whatever promotions they run to get to Hyatt Diamond status. I think there probably will be
global
status. Excuse me, I misspoke. I think there probably will be a decent opportunity to get there for fewer nights this year, but we don't yet know.
Yeah, guys, you are amazing. When I tell my wife that the credit card fees been cut by 2/3.
Good.
You hear her in the background.
That's great to hear, Jim.
Good. I'm glad. Good. Now take that money and treat yourself to a couple of rounds at the bar the next time you are able to go out there and fly, and a nice little meal somewhere.
Yeah. And send us a note. Send us a note after you've canceled these cards to let us know how that all went, and if
Please do.
I'd be interested too if anyone talked you into keeping in return for $500 credit or anything like that.
Right.
Oh, I'm a sucker for money. I'll have to be careful.
Yeah, let us know. Okay.
Best of luck.
I cannot thank you enough, guys. Stay well.
Thank
You're very
you.
welcome.
You too.
You too.
All right.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, you want to have a break?